Greetings, knowledge seekers, the force is with you. So recently I posted a video showing that you can DJ with a $400 computer, which is this small gaming console called the Steam Deck. Basically the way it works is we installed Windows on the Steam Deck. We're running our Serato library off an SD card. And some of you folks asked me what are some of the accessories that I was using with it to make the workflow nice and smooth. So today I'm going to share with you what those accessories are. Some of them you might just want, others you might need, and you can decide what will work best with you when DJing from your Steam Deck. But first, a word from our sponsor. This video is brought to you by Direct Music Service. Check out the description or the pinned comment below for discount codes.
Pray on Johnny. May the force be with you.
So the first thing you're going to need is a dock, basically a USB hub that goes with your Steam Deck. So what I have over here is called the Availer, and you can see several USB cables connected to it. It's basically a dock that you can set your Steam Deck on, and you can also connect your power supply to. See, the Steam Deck itself has one USB Type-C port, but if you connect it to a dock, you can expand it because it's basically a USB hub. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a mountable dock. You can use a regular USB Type-C hub, but it's really important to have some type of dock so that way you can hook up your DJ gear as well as your keyboard and mouse or trackpad. Now, speaking about a keyboard, mouse, and trackpad, you don't necessarily need one while using the Steam Deck. You can pull up Windows touchscreen keyboard, but I will say using a trackpad and a mouse makes everything easier. And when you're setting up Windows, it's absolutely necessary to have a USB connected keyboard and a wired mouse in order to be able to navigate through the setup. So over to my left, I have this wireless Logitech keyboard and trackpad, and I have it set up to my left where I normally would have a laptop at, and it's on a laptop stand. Now over to my right, I have my mouse. This could be where I put my trackpad. The reason why I have it set up this way is that way if I need to type and use the mouse, it's in a position that's comfortable where the Steam Deck is centered. You can use a trackpad, wireless mouse. I have this cheap gamer mouse, and it was actually a mouse that came as a set with a gaming keyboard. It's an inexpensive gaming keyboard set by Red Dragon. And whenever I need a wired keyboard, I use this one. Now, a big keyboard, a mouse, trackpad might be a little too big of a setup. It kind of kills the portability of the Steam Deck. What else can you use? Well, you can use a gamepad keyboard like this one that's wireless, and you can basically type and use the mouse right on the gamepad. This is a more condensed version of having the keyboard and the mouse out. Now, I'm not used to this, so I still prefer the tactile keyboard and mouse setup. So overall, everything that I've showed you here is $10 to $20. Now, if you want to spend on something nicer, like a $100 gaming keyboard and mouse, that's totally up to you. Just showing you what are the options that I have here. Now, I mentioned some laptop stands. Well, the one I have over here is my Odyssey laptop stand that I use to put the keyboard on. And this is really helpful for, placing this keyboard, but I normally use that with my laptop. Now, I'm using something lower profile, this metal one, for the Steam Deck, because it's not as wide as the Odyssey one, and it sits a little lower, and it has a nice fitment to place the dock right in between. And I like this because with the rubber right here and not being so wide, I can actually grab the Steam Deck and still hit some of its buttons. So if you were to MIDI map some functions to Serato from the Steam Deck joystick, buttons and whatnot, you can easily do that and still have the grip of the Steam Deck. Now, I often prefer two-tiered laptop stands because they are more stable. They don't tend to wobble, unlike the single-tier ones. But two laptop stands are what I'm using, one to mount the Steam Deck and the other to mount the keyboard. Now, another thing you might want to consider is the Steam Deck. The lowest tier Steam Deck comes with a 64 gigabyte internal solid-state drive. Now, you can buy a Steam Deck equipped with larger drives, but it's actually more cost-effective to replace the internal drive yourself. Keep in mind that Windows can take up half of that 64 gigabytes. And if you're the type of person that likes to put your library internally, you might want to put a 1 terabyte in there. So if you're not afraid to tinker, be sure to upgrade your internal solid-state drive inside your Steam Deck. Now, I mentioned placing your library internally because I know majority of people do that method, but one of the things that I highly encourage is having your Serato library on an external. That way you're not taking up space in your internal drive, and you always have the option to upgrade. And the biggest benefit to that is that you can take your library and bring it to another computer and use it immediately. In fact, my library is on a micro SD card, and I can easily take it from my Mac, plug it into the Steam Deck, and start using it right away. Now with Serato stems, reading the SD card can sometimes be sluggish on some machines. So one of the things recommended to do is to get an SD card that is a type A2. This is a 1 terabyte micro SD that's A2 type. A2 is optimized for gaming, which improves its read and write speeds. And you have to remember, when you're using Serato stems, you're taking 2 channels of audio and they become 8 channels of audio, 4 pairs of stereo audio. Having your Serato library on an A2 card will improve that. Now you might ask, do I need an A2 on my Mac or Windows? If you haven't experienced any issues using an SD card with your Mac or Windows computer running Serato stems, then I wouldn't worry about it. But I know that on the Steam Deck, it is needed. Now the last thing I'm going to mention is not a physical accessory itself, but a utility that you can add for $20 on your Steam Deck. It's called HFS Plus for Windows. When you're using a Mac, there's this format that's not exFAT, FAT32, or Windows NTFS. It's called Mac OS Journaled. And I often like using it for my external drives. I even use it with my USB drive for CDJs. And the reason why I prefer it over exFAT and FAT32, it's the most resistant to corruption, especially if you prematurely eject it. And it doesn't take 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes to start reading again after prematurely ejecting it, especially when you reconnect it to a computer. Now the macOS journaled format is also known as HFS Plus, and it's not native to Windows. However, the HFS Plus Windows utility allows you to read those types of drives. The utility is only $20 per computer, and I have it on each one of my Windows computers. And that's the format that I have my SD card that contains my Serato library set to. Now my buddy Professor BX also has some suggestions. If you remember, Professor BX is the brains behind putting Serato on the Steam Deck. Now these accessories I don't really have here, so I can't really show or talk about them, but I'm just going to list them for you because these are important ones that he suggested. So Professor BX recommends the CO5T Steam Deck carrying case. This fits your power supply because the carrying case that comes with the Steam Deck only fits the Steam Deck. This case can fit your power supply, your SD cards, any extra accessories, so it's nice and portable. Another recommendation is the JSOC's 45-watt charger for the Steam Deck. The next one is the F Young TPU clear protective case for the Steam Deck, and it also comes with a kickstand. The next is a 10-in-1 Steam Deck docking station with a fan. And the other is the M.2 Steam Deck dock, which you can use to connect a 2 terabyte internal SSD to directly. I would imagine you can put your Serato library, in fact, even save your games on that 2 terabyte SSD that's basically part of the dock. So there's a lot of other things to cover with using the Steam Deck to DJ with, including what version of Windows to use. If you want to learn more about it, please leave me a comment down below. And also, please follow Professor BX. He's doing more Steam Deck videos. The guy is doing some crazy modifications to his Steam Deck to get the most out of it, especially with gaming and using Serato. So follow his channel and give him a shout out in the comments that I sent you. All right, really appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. And don't forget, the Force is with you always.